This is the Your Money Hour podcast. I am your host, Dakota Grady. And before we get started, if you're struggling with your finances, I got some resources for you on my website at dakotagrady.com. Check out my book. You can also check out my audiobook and ebook as well. So again, dakotagrady.com. And if you're needing help with your taxes or a bookkeeper for your business, I am also known as the accounting tax doctor, the AT doctor, to help people with their accounting and taxes. Check out my website at theatdoc.com. That's theatdoc.com. And tonight's guest is Shawn Thompson of Logo My Logo. Shawn has been a guest on my show before. I think sometime earlier this year, I believe, or last year. So tonight we're going to talk about the principles of leadership. Actually, I'm going to do 3 segments about leadership because they are important. Shawn thinks so as well because he has 9 topics that we're going to discuss. So without further ado, Shawn, welcome back to the show and let everybody know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, thank you, Dakota, again for having me. I appreciate it. I am, again, Shawn Thompson. I own a promotional products company, Logo My Logo, and we have been in business now for 10 years. So we are excited about that. And I guess I really like this topic because throughout my life, there have been opportunities for me to show leadership skills. And when I was young, I was developing them, but now I'm able to put them into full practice. So I think just like anybody, once you have a sense of accomplishment or a sense of how to do something, it is your responsibility at that point to make sure you share it with others. I mean, what's the benefit of knowledge dying with the person? So I am again excited about what we will talk about today and what I think we all will glean from the time we spend together.
All right, so I'm going to do the 9 steps, basically the principles, and then we're going to start with the first one. So it's basically first 3 are accountability, association, and humbleness. Next ones are integrity, responsibility, discipline. And then the last 3 are mentality, vision, and hands. So today we're going to talk about the first 3. So accountability is very important. I'm a coach, so I know accountability is very important when you're trying to help somebody go from where they are to where they want to be. So talk about the principles of leadership and in terms of being accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dakota, if I can just go back and give you a little bit of backdrop. So, I think in situations like this, you always want to know what qualifies a person to be able to have this level of conversation. And I just want your listeners to know that it is not by happenstance. These are not things that I just read in a book yesterday. I have lived life, and life has afforded me the opportunities to use examples of leadership throughout life. And so, a little bit about me, I was born in Pensacola, Florida, and my first leadership opportunity really came in 5th grade. And so what happened was in 5th grade, my teacher split our class in half. And so we had the green side and we had the blue side. And then my teammates or my classmates voted me the leader or the captain of the blue side. And so what that means is if you were good all week long on Friday, you could bring in punch and cookies and you can have a party. And one side of the class could have a party while the other side of the class had to sit there and watch. And so it was a leadership. It was my responsibility to make sure that other students in my class adhered to the rules of the class. Little things. Again, this is 5th grade, so you had to line up alphabetically. You had to make sure you weren't talking during sessions. All those things. So I was in essence helpful in that particular piece. Again, it was my first opportunity for leadership. And so I did that in 5th grade. And so later on in life, I think high school was probably my next opportunity for leadership. And in high school, I started doing something that I really enjoyed, which is playing football. So I got on the football team, and my senior year in high school, my teammates uh, voted me captain of the football team. So again, it's another opportunity for leadership, and I'm honing these skills, trying to develop these skills. And I'll be honest, Dakota, we were 1-9. We won one game all season. So my leadership skills, they let me practice on them. So my leadership skills they were not the best, but their skills and skill sets, and the more you work on them, the better you become at it. So they were a horrible football team. We were 1-9. I was the only person on the football team to receive a scholarship. I got that scholarship to Tennessee State University, and again, I was on another football team there that was a really bad football team. And so it wasn't until my senior year that I got another opportunity for leadership. Again, elected team captain by my teammates there. And I think I started to get these things down. So my senior year in college, our team was Ohio Valley Conference football champion. And so we went from having, again, 1-9 in high school to when I got to college, my first year we were 4-7. Then we went 2-9. They fired our head coach. We brought in a new head coach. We went 4-7, 4-7. And so it wasn't until my senior year that I experienced in my lifetime my first winning season. And again, as a leader, as a team captain, I got a chance to experience the sweetness of victory and taste the taste of a championship. So I got the huge championship ring, all that good stuff. So that happened. But I think one of the things that happens in leadership is that you have opportunities and then you have adversities. And how well a person handles handles adversity is a true sense of what type of leadership qualities they truly honestly have. It does not matter who you are or what you do, there will be times in life that you experience adversity. How well you handle adversity is a great test of character. It's the true sense of who you are at your core. It's, can I bounce back? Can I get hit and be against the wall and stumble, fall, get back up again? And leadership is, will others follow me? Will others believe in what I also believe in? Again, things may have been bad, they may have been tough, we may not have accomplished the goal that time, but we dust ourselves off, we get back in the game, we try to do it all again. And so I've seen throughout my life, I've seen success and I've seen adversity. I've seen success and I've seen adversity. And again, how well you handle with adversity is a true test of, I think, how successful you will ultimately be. I tell you, when I got to college, and I guess I'm setting all this up to get to accountability. When I got to college, man, I was having a good time. I was on the football team. I was away from my parents, um, and I had the opportunity to make decisions. And so one of the decisions I made is that I wanted to go to a party. I mean, I was kicking it. Dakota, I was having a good time. I was at a party at 12 o'clock in the daytime on a Wednesday. So I was having a great time. And so the decisions that I made there made me fail 2 classes. I failed 2 classes that semester because I was kicking it entirely too hard. But then once I kind of gathered myself together, got stable, that I went from failing 2 classes one semester to making the dean's list the very next semester. Because I think the first true thing in leadership is you got to figure out how do you self manage. If you can't lead yourself, who will want to follow you? And so I think that piece is paramount, is very key. Um, I think it gets kind of getting into leadership as a total. One of the things that will be overshadowing for us all, you know, I think anytime you venture to do anything great, Dakota, you have to realize that you will experience adversity. And I don't care who you are, adversity does come. Even in the words of the great philosopher Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson says, everybody has a good plan until you get punched in the face. And so that's how leadership truly is. You have a great plan, but then adversity comes, you get punched in the face. And anytime you venture to do anything exceptional, anything great, or anything well, there will be adversity. I don't care what sport I played football, but you cannot step on a football field and not expect at one point for somebody to attempt to tackle you. You can't be a basketball champion and not think that at some point someone is going to attempt to foul you. It just, adversity happens. You can't be the heavyweight boxing champion of the world and not think that somebody's not going to attempt to punch you in your face. So with success comes great challenges, great diversity. And I think leaders have the ability to overcome all those challenges, all those adversities to make them successful. So I guess our overshadowing thing, I really think about it. If you think about leadership, and it's best exampled, I believe, in the animal kingdom. If you think about a lion being the king of the jungle, what's interesting about him is that this lion is not the tallest. I mean, honestly, giraffe is taller. He's not the strongest. An ox is stronger than a lion. He's not the quickest. Cheetah is quicker than a lion. So he's not the strongest. He's not the fastest. He's not the tallest. He's not the smartest. There's all these things that you and I would assume you need in order to be a leader that this lion does not have. And the thing that I think I am convinced that makes him the leader in essence in this particular capacity is that he has an attitude for leadership. So leadership is really about your attitude. It mainly starts with what you believe about yourself and then what you believe as we relate to these principles. So if you think about it, in the animal kingdom, there's this lion, he's out there, he's hungry. He's identified a challenge, a situation. There's a herd of elephant over off in the pasture and they're grazing. And so he says, okay, I'm hungry, there is food. And so he's identified the problem. I think that's the first attribute of leadership, identify a problem. The second thing he does is he assembles a good team. Again, you cannot be a leader if nobody's following you. If you consider yourself to be a leader and nobody is following you, there is a challenge. All you're doing is taking a walk. So people have to follow you in order for you to be considered this leader. So this lion, he's hungry. He sees this opportunity is off in the distance, and so he decides, there's a problem, there's a challenge. I'm hungry. We need to eat. So he pulls his pride together. He pulls his family together, his boys, his people who he think can help him take this thing down that's much larger than him. So then second thing he does, he assembles a pride or he assembles the team. That's the second thing I think all leaders do is they need to assemble a great team. And then the third and final thing they do is they attack with confidence. And so because this lion who has these leadership qualities have done all these things and put them in place, everybody gets a chance to eat. He's a true, in essence, consummate leader. He is a leader. And so going back to the principles, I think that really could be our overshadowing theme, if you will. Leadership, I think, is found best. It is the best example is in the animal kingdom. We talked about accountability. So the first principle of leadership, I think, is accountability of a leader. And we talked about this earlier, but one of the most important things you have to do is self-evaluation. You have to look within yourself, and you should recognize and realize the qualities that you have that make you successful. Is that if there are some things you need to work on, you will identify that quickly. One of the huge things I think in leadership is your ability to communicate. So if your communication skills are a challenge, again, you're trying to get somebody to follow you. How will they follow you if they don't understand where it is that you're attempting for them to go? Why is it that you want them to do this? What's the purpose? What's the goal? And I think that initially happens in communication. But you do self-evaluation. So your self-evaluation says, this is something that I'm lacking, let me work on it. And then the other thing I think is equally as important as your evaluation from others. With your team, you've assembled them, you trust them, they will go to battle with you. In your team, you have to ask questions that probe whether or not you are successful and you're doing what you need to be doing as a leader. And I think it's one of the greatest questions I think you can ask as a leader to your team is to, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate my performance. And you have to be okay with very true, very real, very honest answers. Rate my performance. And this happens in life. This is just not in business. It's not, it's your family. It's you in a relationship. It's you. So if you were, let me give you an example. So let's just say I was, Valentine's Day just passed. So, so if I was dating somebody and I was like, hey, baby, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate my performance as a boyfriend or a husband. And so she might say, well, baby, I think you probably an 8.5. I said, okay. That's how my baby talk. So I said, okay, since I'm an 8.5, what is it about me that's made me this 8.5? She might say, well, you last week you was late. And so because you was late, that really kind of put me behind in my schedule. And if you weren't late last week, you might go from 8.5 to a 10. So now I got good positive feedback. I know what I need to do in her mind in order to be a 10. That's the same thing with your team. That's the same thing with your customers. That's the same thing with any time that you are in a leadership role. Evaluation is so important. And as the leader, you have to seek the evaluation in a way that's palatable, that you can get true, good, honest information. So I think these are your $1,000,000 questions. Rate on a scale of 1 to 10, rate my performance. And somebody's going to give you a number. If you're a 10, you are at the pinnacle. You're doing great. If you're not, if it's an 8.5, 9, 7, whatever it is, your next question is your $1,000,000 question. So since I am a 8.5, what can I do to become a 10? And where
So,
that?
do you get the feedback?
No, I didn't get any.
So basically, with that, if someone knows they need to improve, where does accountability come in? Like, who's going to hold that person accountable? Because some people may have yes people, whether it be a female or a male, and they agree with the person even though they need to improve. They may not want to voice their opinion and say you do need to improve. Like in the Bible, talk about King David. Basically, had he had a guy's he basically had a guy killed to sleep with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So he was going through the story. He's talking to a prophet, and he was saying basically he was talking about himself. He didn't realize he's talking about himself until the prophet said, "Dude, that's you. You're talking about yourself." So
Right.
where does that person? I mean, like there may be some leaders who may not want somebody to tell them that they need to be the person to change. Where do you go from there?
Yeah. And so you're asking a great question. So in leadership, just like in anything, there are good leaders and there are bad leaders. If you want to be a bad leader, you surround yourself with yes people. You surround yourself that whatever you say, they are on board. But if you want to be a good leader, you need to surround yourself with individuals who may challenge you. There are always, but always, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. There are always better practices or best practices. There are always opportunities for improvement. It does not matter what you do. Um, I was watching a video today of Usain Bolt, but Usain Bolt, fastest man in the world, has a coach, somebody who can say, Hossein, these are the things that you are not doing well. And if he surrounds somebody with him who just says, "Oh man, you're great. Oh, you won last year. You'll win again." No, there's somebody that's gunning for you. And so I think as a true leader, you need to make sure you surround yourself with individuals that who are not going to say yes to everything you do. They're gonna have true, honest feedback because they have a level of expertise that you don't have.
It's
So
true.
yeah,
So in terms of association, how's that go into relationship? I mean, are all leaders do they need to be around people who are just leaders in general, or do they have to need people who are leaders, but also people who are followers as well? Like, what kind of association do you mean by that?
yeah. It's there is a old adage that all good Indians make great chiefs. I'll say it again. All good Indians make great chiefs. There's an opportunity for you to be a leader. But until you become that leader, there are greater opportunities for you to be a good number two or a good number three or a good team player. And you can be a strong team player while having leadership skills and not be the leader. So again, I worked for a company for 12 years and there were CEOs and managers over me. But again, I was always a good team player. And so when it was my opportunity for leadership, I stepped right in because I don't think you ever, and it's going back to your question, timing is so valuable. You don't want anything prematurely because a premature leader, somebody who assumes a leadership role before they're ready for it, will mismanage an opportunity. And opportunities are so difficult to come by. You definitely don't want to mismanage it. And so you want to make sure that you're ready. I think the association of a leader, if you think about this, there's an old saying that says birds of a feather flock together. It's the saying that says you are known by the company you keep. And one bad apple will spoil the bunch. All that is association. You, in essence, are really the sum of the five people. I've heard this several times. I think you've said this. You sum of the five people that you spent the majority of your time with. And if you think about who those people are, there are attributes about them that are also in you. You also think about Dakota, and you can talk about this, but your closest friends, statistics show that what you make annually, you're generally about 10% above or below what your closest friends make. And all that is association. So you have to be cautious about who you kind of hang around. You got something on that? You can definitely speak on that piece.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have people who are on the same level as you can't level up
Correct.
because you don't know the people who are leveled up, right? You're in the same level, so you got to rise above that group of people and get people around you who are doing better things, who are doing things that you want to do, and connect with that person. Because if you're going to do the same things with the same people, you're not going to really elevate to the next level.
Right. Nobody pushes you. So
Right.
if you all just eat vanilla ice cream, you don't realize there's a world of ice cream out there. Man, there's sprinkles and nuts and getting Reese's Pieces. It's a whole, I like food, but there's a world out there. But if you only hang around individuals who are only confined to this one particular space, then that's a challenge. And one of the things that I've done a better job of, I think, Dakota, is if you and your listeners, I really hope they feel us here. If you want to be a millionaire, you have to figure out a way to hang out with more millionaires. And if you don't know any, they're around. You have to get into a space that allows you to be a part of their conversations, their network. They're doing something in the community. Is there a nonprofit board that you can sit on? Can you go volunteer someplace? Can you work within their organization? How whatever is required for you to get the opportunity to hang around, it's beneficial. And let me tell you a good example for me. When I worked for somebody for 12 years, my customers were business owners. And Dakota constantly having conversations with other business owners made me understand, Shawn, you have what it takes to also be a business owner. But if I wouldn't have had the opportunity, if I was just only calling on other employees, other 9 to 5ers, I never would have branched out. But because my association kept me around business owners is how I ultimately ended up becoming a business owner myself.
Exactly. So last point is humbleness. Go from being accountable to association with other people who are like-minded as you are to being humble. Being a leader, you may have a big ego. How do you rein that in to be humble, Shawn?
Yeah, I think again, I'm a team player, and there is a old saying that says there is no I in team. And so the humbleness of a leader, I think the biggest thing is they look to empower people. Leaders don't look for power. If you are going to be a true leader, you have to empower those people who are on your team. If I got to make every decision in the business, why do I need others on my team? So you equip them, you bring them up to, and you talked about level set. You bring them up to skill set. You empower them within parameters, and you say, this is what we normally do. This is how we normally handle things. These are the questions that I'm going to ask you after you make this decision. And if you can justify your decision, we're fine. But I think the humbleness of a leader does not require him to micromanage. He does not have to be involved in every decision. I don't want anything. I don't need you to roll out the red carpet and stand up when I walk into the office. That's not what you need. You're looking for the opportunity to empower people. I think the true test of great leadership is how well someone leads once you're gone. if an organization or a business dies with you, then you have not done a great job of being a good leader. If you're not training up somebody who can take on those responsibilities after you are far removed, you dead, retired, whatever the case may be, then you have not done a good job of being a good leader. So yeah.
And before we close, a business is not a business without a team of people, right? Because if you can't make money while you're sleeping, that means you have a system in place when people are doing the job for you when you're not there, and they're making decisions when you're not there, and then your business would go away to die, basically, like you said, because you don't train people to be able to make decisions without you being there. You didn't empower them. You didn't give them ability to, well, you didn't delegate things to them so that they can do it. And that's what the true business is. Having people in place to follow the system, to make decisions without you being there so that you can go vacation, do whatever you want to do and still making money. So before we close on this first segment, you have anything, any final thoughts on this?
No, I think you remember the accountability of a leader is valuable. So people are counting on you. Can they count on you is the question, and then can you assemble yourself around people that you can count on? And it goes back to your number two, which is your association. Did you assemble a good team? And then number three, are you being humble? Did you not get the big head so you can everybody want to eat, right? So did you do things in place that allows everyone to eat? If you're the only person that's big and stuff and fat in your organization, you have not done a good job of being a humble leader. I think those are our first three. Yeah.
So how can people find out about my logo, and how to find you on social media, Shawn?
Yeah, so you can follow us at Logo My Logo on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Logo My Logo on both Instagram and Facebook are our handles. And then I'm also personally on both platforms, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Shawn Thompson. And again, at Logo My Logo.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Shawn. This is the Your Money Hour podcast.